What's going on, everyone? I am so ridiculously excited for today's video, guys. If you hadn't seen the spoilers already, spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about new cards. But Knights of the Old Republic is back, and I am so excited. It is exactly what I thought it was going to be with the Secrets of Power set name. That said, I'm not going to waste any time. A big thank you to my patrons over our Patreon, guys. Thank you for supporting the channel. Thank you for sharing in the excitement over on our Discord. But let's dive into our first couple of cards. We're going to get to the KOTOR stuff in a moment. But honestly, there are some really, really cool cards that we have to talk about today. And I'm going to go a little slower on some of these cards because they're actually quite intriguing and a little bit confusing. So first off, we've got a 4-cost space unit in Libertine. I believe that's how you say that, but someone will correct me, I'm sure. Double cunning. 3/7 underworld vehicle transport. This unit gets +1/+0 for each captured card it's guarding. When you play it, you choose an enemy unit and a non-leader friendly unit. The enemy unit captures the friendly unit. So this is a little bit weird. You're like, okay, well, why do you want enemy units to be capturing your friendly units? We'll get to that in just a moment in terms of the new leader. But generally, I mean, this is a 4-cost space unit with a huge butt. It's got 7 toughness. And with the +1/+0 for each captured card it's guarding, can scale pretty nicely. It's realistically just a potentially large space unit that's really going to potentially synergize with the leader that we'll talk about later on in this video. And so I suppose, and maybe I should have swapped the two around, but I'll wait to come back and talk more about this card when we get to that new leader, because I think that's where it becomes way more relevant, because it's really supposed to work with the new leader. We've got Sikatro Vizago, 3-cost ground unit in cunning, 3/4 underworld. On attack, reveal top card of your deck. An opponent may pay 1. If they don't, you draw a card. So basically, 3-cost, 3/4, attacks, draws you a card, or taxes your opponent for 1 resource. I'd say, generally speaking, this is probably going to be drawing you cards. Now, paying 1 resource is not the worst penalty in the world. However, one of the big things is a lot of people are liking to play on curve, especially since with force throw is banned. There aren't as many decks that are situated to utilize that 1 resource, because before it was force throw. Nowadays, there are a little bit more expensive replacements for it. And so I think this is just kind of a 3-resource 3/4 that draws you a card on average. But is that good? Not really. A 3-resource 3/4 isn't that great. And you do have to attack to get that trigger, which means if your opponent just has better units than you, like a 3/5, for example, and can deal that 1 last point of damage, you're pretty screwed. 3/4s are pretty bad. Think of it like Ezra, the Ezra from set 1, where you attack, you get to look at the top card of your deck, and you get to play it, potentially. I think this is pretty similar. Ezra, in some cases, is way better, because you've got the Force tag, you've got the Rebel tag, which are more relevant than the Underworld, even though Underworld is a relevant tag. And you get to cheat on actions by playing the top card of your deck and manipulating it. If it's not good, you can discard it. So I think, honestly, this is kind of just meh. It seems interesting, and maybe it could find a place. But we have seen Ezra in some decks, but it's been falling off as we get more and more sets. So I think that's kind of where this guy lies. Next up, we've got the Wrong Ride. This is a 3-cost event in cunning. Exhaust 2 enemy resources with plot. So you can pay 3, exhaust 2 enemy resources, or when you deploy your leader, you can pay 3 from your resource pile and get to exhaust 2 enemy resources. Honestly, this card looks kind of gross, to be honest. If you could set up a situation where you are pretty aggressive in the early game, and then you can still have the initiative by the time your leader comes down, think of this in like the 4-resource deploy leaders. Like, let's say you're playing Sabine yellow. Turn 1, you play a unit. Turn 2, you play a unit. Turn 3, you still have initiative. You play your Sabine, and now they're unstuck on 2 resources. I mean, there's going to be not that many plays that they're going to be able to make at that point. And so I think that this card has some actual potential. Exhausting 2 enemy resources is pretty brutal. Now, the only thing with this is, if your opponent is expecting it, which let's say it becomes a meta card, right? Your opponent's going to be expecting the Wrong Ride as the plot when your leader comes down. And so you really need to make sure you're in a spot where you can take the initiative before that turn happens, right? So that you can make the first play to prevent your opponent from utilizing your resources or their resources. Obviously, if they have no resources to exhaust, then it's pretty bad. And the later it gets in the game, I feel like the worse it gets in some situations, although there are some key turns like the super laser blast turn, where if you're able to claim initiative and then exhaust the 200 resources and they can't super laser blast, that might win you a game. But it has to be either a key turn or, you know, that turn where you're just kind of putting on additional pressure with your leader deploy. I think this is interesting, and I think there really can be a few decks that you can build kind of around the wrong ride. But to be honest, here's what we all came for, guys. Darth Traya. Darth Traya. For those of you that don't know, this, along with the cards we're about to talk about, all are Legends cards. You'll notice it by the gold border you see, or this gold outline here on the bottom of the card border, and that denotes a Legends card. Darth Traya is from Knights of the Old Republic 2, the Sith Lords. This is one of a lot of people's favorite characters, or well-written characters from across a lot of early RPGs, and my goodness, am I excited to see it. This means that we are going to get the Sith Triumvirate, as she is part of the Sith Triumvirate, which is the 3 that I mentioned in my predictions for the previous sets. I said, if we're going to see a set, first off, if we have Revan in the game, once Revan came out, I was pretty confident that we were going to see more Legends. The logical next step is to continue with the KOTOR cards, and KOTOR 2 hasn't been touched. So I figured if we're going to have a Secrets of Power, these 3 have some of the biggest secrets of their power that you don't really figure out until way deeper into the game. So I figured they were going to show up, and guess what? They did. Now, side note for the expository, let's actually talk about the card. We have a 3-cost ground unit in Cunning Villainy. It is a 2/5 Force Sith, and on attack, you may ready a non-unit leader. Seems pretty weak in terms of 2/5, right? When you see a 2/5, you're like, dang, that's kind of weak. My goodness, guys, this card makes me so ridiculously excited. Think about what we just acquired here in our 2 days. We've got Dryden Voss. We've got the unit that pings a 2-power less unit to ready it. We have Grand Inquisitor. We have Grand Inquisitor. Think about the combinations of these cards. You could go like turn 2 Darth Traya into turn 3 that new leader. Let's say you attack with a unit, attack with Traya, ready up a unit, attack with that unit, play that other unit that readies up a 2-power unit to ready Traya, attack with Traya, ready up another elite unit, attack with that unit, then use Grand Inquisitor ability to ready up Traya to then ready up another unit. I mean, think about the potential of this card. Do I think this is an absurdly disgusting card? No. Do I think it's actually playable in general? Potentially. I think the Force and Sith tags are extremely relevant. Force tag, obviously, for all the different things that we just got in the previous set, or in the current set, I should say. Sith, less relevant. However, there are cards that are starting to really formulate. Like, think about like Darth Revan's lightsabers, right? Think about the potential of this card. I mean, I am so ridiculously excited about this one. I cannot wait to play Grand Inquisitor Yellow again and see what we can come up with the new Darth Traya, the new Dryden Voss, and the new card. I mean, I talk about Grand Inquisitor a lot in a lot of the sets because I feel like there's just so many different potential, but this is like the key card. I am so excited for Darth Traya here, not only because it's a Knights of the Old Republic 2 card, but also because of the silly things that you can do. I mean, just think about that. Let's say your opponent is going all space and you're racing. Let's say they're playing like Kazuda, right? And you're trying to race them. You can race them with this strategy. Turn 1, you play, let's just say a 3-powered unit, okay? You play it, you ready it with Grand Inquisitor, you get 3 damage in on turn 1, okay? Turn 2, you play Traya, okay? Then you attack with your 3-powered unit. Maybe you ready up Darth Traya with your Grand Inquisitor. Attack for 2. After you've already attacked with the other unit, that's 8 damage total. You get to ready up your unit, attack for the 3 damage, 11 damage on turn 2. Okay. On turn 3, you could play maybe a 1-cost upgrade if you have it, but you play that new card that readies up a unit. After attacking with your first unit, so that's 14 damage. Then Traya attack, that's 16 damage. Then you ready up the unit, that's 19 damage. Then you play the unit that readies up Traya. Then you attack again, that's 21 damage. Then you attack the other unit, that's 24 damage. 24 damage. And that's just playing the cards. That's not even including the ready up again with Grand Inquisitor, which you then can ready up again for another 3 points of damage, which is 27. And you still have 1 resource left over. That's on turn 3. Turn 3! I mean, that is so cool. Okay, I'm gonna stop gushing about this card because we're gonna be here for a long time if I do, but this is just, I'm just excited about the potential, because honestly, the Knights of the Republic cards from the previous set are pretty bad. HK47 is the only card that has been standing the test of time, but I'm hoping we can do something fun, at least, with Traya. Next up, we've got another part of the Sith Triumvirate, Darth Nihilus, 7-cost ground unit in just villainy. It's a 6/6/4 Sith unit. When played and on attack, you deal 3 damage to the unit with the least remaining HP. If it's a non-vehicle unit, give an experience token to this unit. Now, here's the thing with this. It's a 7-cost 6/6, which is pretty bad. But you do get a when played ability of 3 damage. Here's the kicker, though. It's 3 damage to the unit with the least remaining HP among other units. It does not say enemy units. And it's not a May ability. You must deal 3 damage to your own unit if it's the lowest HP unit. Now, you do get an experience token. However, even with an experience token, and even if you do attack and get another 3 damage, and you do get another experience token on Nihilus, it's an 8/8, which is good, okay? But it's not, like, disgusting. Is this actually playable? I think it has some potential, as, you know, you play this, and if you do get the trigger on your opponent's units, it is decent. It is pretty good. You can't ECL it out, unfortunately, because it is 7 cost. But if you do get an ambush, like a timely intervention on Darth Nihilus, I mean, you do get essentially an 8/8 ambusher, most cases, that has just dealt 6 damage to the, you know, lowest HP, or maybe 3 damage to one and 3 damage to another unit, if it's killed it. So, I mean, there is some potential with Darth Nihilus, and it's another legendary, and it looks absolutely sweet. Absolutely sweet. Love the art on this card, more so than Traya. I mean, Traya looks amazing, but oh my gosh, Nihilus just looks incredible. The Lord of Hunger coming in with an absolute showing. And then we've got the Lord of Pain, Darth Sion. This is a 5-cost ground unit in Vigilance villainy. It's a 5/5 Force Sith. When played, you give an experience token to this unit for each enemy unit that was defeated this phase. And when it's defeated, if this unit had 7 or more power, you return him to his owner's hand. So the idea here is 2 units have died on the opposing side of the battlefield. You get a 7/7 for 5. This honestly seems the weakest of the 3. I mean, it can be a big unit, right? The cool thing that I think about, it's in Vigilance villainy, so I'm sure everyone else is thinking it, but I mean, you need a lot of resources for this. Super Laser Blast, you know, clear off like 4 or 5 units. You know, you play this, you get a 8/8, 9/9, you know, 10/10, something like that. Think about that, though. You'd have to have 13 resources. Your opponent has to have like 4 to 5 units on the battlefield, which is probably not a good thing for you. And you have to have Super Laser Blast and Darth Sion on your hand. I just don't think that's applicable. I could certainly see this being like a 6/6 or a 7/7 on play, right? 5 resource 6/6, 5 resource 7/7, extremely likely for that. However, is a 5 resource 7/7 actually good enough in Vigilance villainy? I don't know. It's on a 6/6 equivalent to Poe Dameron, which isn't particularly exciting. You'd probably just rather remove something. So will this see play? I don't know. This just seems the weakest of the 3 that we spoke about. But, I mean, it can get very big very quickly. You know, if a lot of enemy units are dying. I think the idea is that your opponent has a bunch of tokens, and then you can just, you know, kill them all, and then you get this big old Darth Sion. Think about like with the spy tokens. You kill off all the spy tokens, and suddenly you're getting a massive amount of Darth Sion value. Like, you know, you bombing run it, or you topple the summit, or you Super Laser Blast, and they've got a Palpatine deploy with Rex, and they got 7 to 9 units out, and you make a 12/12 or a 14/14. I mean, that is potentially possible in the dream scenario, but it would be tough. The fact that you have to play it on the phase that each enemy unit has been defeated means that it's really intense on your resources. I wish this was just maybe a little bit different, like when a unit, or like say like when Darth Sion dies and he has an experience token, or if a Darth Sion would be defeated, you know, when he has an experience token, instead remove that experience token and fully heal him. Like that would be kind of interesting, right? Because that's kind of what Darth Sion does, but it's not quite that. So let me know what you think about Darth Sion. I'm curious about this one. Next up, we've got the Eban Hawk. This is an extremely strong looking one as well. 3-cost space unit in just cunning. It's a 3/3 with on attack you may disclose heroism or villainy. If you disclose heroism, it gets +2/+, though. And if you disclose villainy, the defender gets -4/-0. So essentially, if you're disclosing heroism, it's a 5/3. And if you're disclosing villainy, it gives your defender -4/-0, which is essentially like a couple of different upgrades out there. I forget the names of them now. But honestly, this looks pretty incredible. Like if you just think about just heroism, it's a 3-resource 5/3. That's pretty nice. And if you're able to synergize with heroism and villainy, I mean, you can knock out any space unit really that's on the earlier turns and completely live, which is crazy to think about. Now, one of the things with Eban Hawk is you are in a situation where you kind of want to play both. Can you play like Cunning Vigilance and take advantage of the play heroism and villainy by also playing Anakin? It's possible. I just think that this card is strong simply for the heroism aspect. You're not going to have that many crazy space units, but it is nice to be able to go ahead and kind of get rid of a lot of the units on the opposing side of the battlefield, or just get in a ton of damage with the 5 power. That is very, very nice. That said, we got to move on to the next one. We've got Kreia's Whispers. This is a 2-cost event in Cunning. It's a force card. Draw 3 cards, then put a card from your hand on the top of your deck and another card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. So you get to stack your deck. Obviously, this works really well with As I Have Foreseen. It works well with You're My Only Hope. Those are the cards that are really, really exciting with this, and cards similar to that type of effect. I think this could be good. I mean, you get a lot of card selection, but not card draw. What I mean by that is you pay 2, you draw 3, but you have to put 2 back, which means this is a pay 2. You replace the card from Kreia's Whispers for one of the top 3 cards in the top of your deck, and then you get to put the worst card in your hand on the bottom of your deck, and then the best card in your hand, or one of the best cards in your hand, onto the kind of top of your deck, which allows you to set up maybe the next couple of turns. So I think this is kind of interesting, and I'm excited to see what we can pull off with it. Next up, we've got Sith Assassin. This is a 2-cost ground unit in just straight villainy. It's a 3/2 Sith with Hidden. This one looks good just because it's got the Sith and Force tags, and a 3/2 for 2 is totally reasonable. I've found Hidden to be pretty powerful, so I am excited to see that it does have Hidden. I think that's a nice little additional bonus that I think you can really take a lot of advantage out of in a lot of situations. So nice for Sith Assassin. I can see this totally being playable as one of the early plays. Next up, we've got Republic Auric Starfighter. It's a 3-cost space unit in Aggression. It's a 2/3 Republic vehicle fighter. It's got grit. Pretty straightforward card, but we have gotten cards that are dealing damage to its own units, and we've obviously have another addition to Grand Inquisitor, right? An immediately readied up 4/1 space unit. I mean, come on, guys. The deck is building itself. How can I not be excited about this? Obviously, Grand Inquisitor is the main thing that I think about with this card. But like Asajj, for example, making it a 3/2. Like, I mean, it's not great, but it can do some things. Next up, we've got Lost Jedi. This is a 2-cost ground unit in Vigilance. It's a 1/3 with grit. Honestly, the most exciting thing about this card here, Lost Jedi, is the armor that the Lost Jedi is wearing. Now, this looks more like Star Wars The Old Republic armor. And what I mean by that is there's Knights of the Republic, Knights of the Republic 2, and then Star Wars The Old Republic. It's kind of like Star Wars The Old Republic was intended to be the third of the game series, but they decided to go with an MMORPG instead of an RPG. Without giving you too big of a backstory, they are continuations of the same lore, and they're all non-canon technically, but we're getting cards for them. And this armor harkens back to a lot of what the Jedi were wearing in Star Wars The Old Republic. And if that's the case, that might be a little hint towards what we could see in the future, like Darth Malgus and Satele Shan, and characters like that are from Star Wars: The Old Republic, or like Valkorion, or all sorts of different new characters, which I know some of you may know these, some of you don't. But that said, a 1/3 grit 2 resource force Jedi isn't the worst. I mean, there could be some cool things you can do with it, but to be honest, I mean, a 1/3 is a pretty bad stat line. Like, even if you're able to fully grit this up, it's a 3/1, which we just have 3/1s baseline. So I don't know. I'm more interested in the art of this card. Next up, we've got Trayus Acolyte. This is a 2-cost ground unit in Vigilance Villainy. It's a 2/4 Force Sith. Honestly, this is extremely relevant. Another 2 resource play that has the Force tag and the Sith tag is really, really relevant. We are starting to see a lot of Sith units, and that might be relevant for future cards. We already have a couple of cards that's relevant for, but honestly, just a 2/4 Force unit onto in Vigilance is good. It is really good. Pairs nicely with what we've got, like Secretive Sage, Karis, Trayus Acolyte now. I mean, I am excited for this card. Very, very straightforward, but honestly, a lot of potential. Next up, we've got Exiled from the Force, and oh my gosh, it just gives me goosebumps, guys. Oh. It is 1-cost upgrade, double Vigilance. Attached unit loses the Force trait and all abilities except for Grit. Attach unit gains Grit. Double Vigilance, give you Grit. I like this. I think there could be some cool things you can do with it. I was, kind of looking into like a double Vigilance Satine deck, and maybe you could play Exiled from the Force in that deck where you're loading up your 0/8 Satine with a bunch of stuff, and then you give her Grit, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is getting insane. And same with the unit, or like there's a double Vigilance Duchess's Champion, the 1/8. You load that up with an upgrade and give it Grit. I mean, that can be insane, right? I think this has some cool applications, not that it's like great. I mean, seeing this art where you get to see the council proceedings where they find that you've kind of cut yourself off from the Force in some degree, and that you're having these Force bonds be created, almost as they call it, a wound in the Force, and that they saw, they called it the death of the Force within us, and so they tried to cut you off from the Force yet again. Like that the whole game is unraveling, guys, like just with this one image. It is incredible. So huge fan of this card. And then lastly, which I think is a great addition as well, especially since there's a Vibroblade in my game. I love it. We've got 2-cost ground unit in Aggression, Warrior of Clan Ordo, 3/3 Mandalorian. On attack, you may disclose Aggression. If you don't, deal 2 damage to your base. Honestly, this card looks great. A 2-cost 3/3 unit, Mandalorian. I mean, this could be really quite excellent. I'm just thinking about, like, if you're gonna go back to like Bo-Katan or something. If we get more Mandalorians, it's pretty sweet. Obviously, I would love to see the full clan order with Canderous, and seeing more Mandalorians from Knights of the Republic, because to me, this is where I am so used to Mandalorian. Like, when I hear Mandalorian, like the new series and everything, I'm like, yeah, whatever. They follow the creed. Cool. When I hear Mandalorians in terms of like the Mandalorian War, oh my gosh, I get really excited. We need Basilisk in here. We need the other clans. We need Mandalore the Preserver. I mean, there's just so many things that you could add in here. It just gets me so excited for it. Let me know. Give me a comment down below, guys, if there are any cards in here that just get you excited like no other. Revan is certainly up there. But the continuation of future Legends content just gets me so excited for the future potential of the game that I just cannot be stopped when it comes to that stuff. Anyways, we've got some other cards to talk about, including a new leader, 2 of them, in fact. And the first one is DJ. Remember that card, Libertine, that I was talking about earlier? This is the kind of card or leader that it's probably wanting to be run with. But here's the crazy part about this. It's a little bit blurry, but double cunning in the aspects. So action, exhaust, choose a friendly unit. If you do, play a unit from your hand. It costs 1 less. The chosen unit captures it. So the idea here is you choose a friendly unit and you get to play something from your hand for even cheaper, but you capture the unit as it enters. However, the when played abilities resolve. So think about it. Cantina Bouncer, Bodhi Rook can be played for 1 cheaper, but it does get captured from, from another unit. That said, we do deploy for 6 as a 4/6 with DJ. He's got Saboteur, and friendly units that are rescued enter play ready. The idea here is, well, Libertine, you are suddenly able to capture your own units underneath Libertine, pump it up, and put potentially other units that have been captured, toss them off to the enemies, and then free their units and maybe get some resource count reduction on that. But most importantly, you can play a third aspect with this guy. Now, you don't get heroism or villainy, but I don't think that's all that relevant because a lot of the good when played abilities, like I said, are in double cunning. Bodhi, Cantina Bouncer, immediately the 2 that come to mind when I'm thinking about like units with when played. But you also have things like, of course, Kira and Ahsoka, which you can't play, which have great when played in cunning. But there are definitely some combinations that you can run. I mean, think about it. You can do double cunning vigilance, double cunning aggression, double cunning command. I mean, there are so many options with this. Imagine if you could also play DJ here. That would be so cool, but you cannot, unfortunately. But this card looks absolutely sweet. This is probably, I know I said this for another leader, but this is like my favorite leader so far, just because of the fun potential you can have. I love double cunning. It is my favorite double aspect by far. I know it's obnoxious, and it truly is, but it's just so fun to play with. And it's also, in my opinion, the strongest. The difference between the 4 original cards, aggression, cunning, vigilance, and command, cunning is by far the strongest. Vigilance is second. Double vigilance as an aspect combination is a close second to double cunning because you do get a lot of other additional cards as well. But I hope that they have a full cycle of this. So you get to have a double cunning, a double vigilance, a double command, and double aggression leaders, and you get to do some cool things. Who those would be, I'm not sure. I think double cunning for DJ works perfectly because he's not really a heroism or villainy unit. And he really is indexed towards that, slippery type style. So I think this is a great choice for a double cunning leader. But I really hope to see more of this. 6 to deploy, 4/6 isn't the greatest, but I do think that this effect is really strong if you're able to constantly free units and just get those readied up. I mean, think about it. If you've captured, let's say, 3 to 4 units under Libertine, and then you, boom, flicker Libertine or whatever, and then suddenly all those units come into play and they're all readied. I mean, that is incredible. That is incredible. A new adventure. Is that playable now? I don't know. There's so much potential with this. I'm so excited. Guys, this spoiler season was incredible. Today was an incredible spoiler day. But that's not all. We have one more leader. This was revealed yesterday, I believe, but Bail Organa, and this one's also really, really cool. So we have a command heroism leader with an action to pay 1. If a friendly unit was defeated this phase, you can return a friendly resource to its owner's hand, and if you do, you put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. You're like, dang, that kind of sucks. Isn't that just Hunter's ability? Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of, but it's way less restrictive, which is crazy. But really, the thing that I'm most excited about is this action. So you have an action to discard 2 cards from your hand. If you control 4 or more resources, you can deploy this leader. So a 4 to deploy leader, and not an epic action, which means you can repeat it. What do you get as a result? A 3/3. When you played a card from your resources, you heal 1 damage from your base. So what is this referencing? Plot. And how does this work? You can repeat your plot cards. That's what's exciting about it. So the idea here is you get to your 4 resources, you discard your cards. Who cares about your cards in your hand? All your cards are plotted. You flip, you play your cards from your resource pile. Maybe it's a 1 in a million or whatever other plot cards that you're playing. Unveiled Might, and you get a 5/6 Bail Organa, whatever it is. Heal a little bit of damage from your base, and then when Bail dies, suddenly next turn you use the action again and can trigger all those plot cards yet again. That's what's exciting about Bail. So is it good? I don't think so. But is it janky and extremely fun? Heck yeah. So this is something that I think is going to be really fun to play with. This is the type of leader where I look at the ability and I look at everything it's doing. I'm like, dang, that kind of sucks. Think like Padme, Hunter, that type of style, right? But it's fun. That's the difference. Like, you make a Hunter leader and I'm like, okay, cool. I guess I can draw a card if I have a unique unit. What does he do? He flips over as a 5/8. Like, what am I even doing? Padme, I guess I can draw a card if I have 3 units on the board and it's a Republic card within the top cards of my deck. What do I get? Well, if I deploy 2/7 with a restore 1. Okay, I guess. What do I get with Bail? The ability to infinitely play plot cards. Now that's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about. So I really like the design of this comparatively to the other kind of styles of like the pay 1 to draw a card type of deal that they were doing. So honestly, huge mega hit for me today. Like this, I wasn't like overly excited for the set. Obviously it's been really fun playing with the cards and I always get excited about, but I was on like the set 2 level of excitement so far, where I was like, yeah, this seems cool, this seems exciting, not nearly as powerful as set 2. However, between the Darth Traya and the Legends cards, DJ as a leader with double cunning as the aspect, and Bail, I am ecstatic. Okay, double cunning as a leader is the first time we've ever seen. I mean, I cannot wait to see what they come up with the other aspects in the game. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thanks for watching. I mean, this is an incredible day for spoilers. Let me know what your favorite is. Are you excited about, the Legends cards coming? Are you excited about the double cunning, double aspect potential leaders? Let me know, and I'll see you all for the next one.